Hey, this is Tyruswoo, and welcome back to another tutorial for RPG Maker MZ. In this tutorial, we'll cover how to make conditional transfers, by which I mean a transfer that occurs based off of a condition needing to be met. In this case, we'll have the condition be the direction the player is facing when stepping on this tile here. So the player will go to a different map when stepping on this tile, but the location on the map will depend on whether the player is facing up, facing down, or facing towards the left, or facing towards the right. So we'll use that as our condition. So if you do find this content helpful, please do remember to like and subscribe, and please also join as a member at Tyruswoo.com. There at Tyruswoo.com, you will find all of our courses and plugins for RPG Maker, and your membership there will make possible more great RPG Maker content. Alright, so let's just go ahead and get started by loading in a sample map that we want the player to go to when stepping onto this tile. So we'll go here to the map tree, and we are going to right click and we'll choose Load Sample Map. And in this case, the sample map that I want to choose, I'm going to choose this Abandoned Grassland Temple. Now again, generally I recommend you make your own maps, but we're just going to use this to help us get started more quickly. So I'm going to hold Control and use the scroll wheel to zoom out. Alternatively, I could use these plus and minus. And so now we see on this map, we have the usual entrance that you would expect would be here toward the bottom part of the map. So you would enter facing upward. But there are ways to go out here on the east side, the west side. There's also this other place on the west where you could see a player getting to the edge of the map and expecting to be able to be transferred out of the map when getting to the edge of the map. And you could have it so that when the player transfers out of the map, the player just ends up on top of this tile. But we're going to make it so that it matters which direction you come in, and you're going to transfer out to one of the sides based off of which way you go out. And this might be useful if you want a place to have one icon on the map, but have different entrances and exits. So we are going to add a little bit of ocean here and here, and then I'm going to just change the look by adding a few trees. And then you could see that if the player's over here, the player could walk and come in the south entrance or the east entrance, but those would be the only two accessible. And then if the player then went out the north or the west exits, the player could then get to this boat over here. So there's something to be found, but you have to get through the dungeon in order to get there. And so we're going to design it in that way in this case. So now that we have our sample map, we can add a transfer event. We'll go up here to the event editing mode, and we're going to right click and we'll choose quick event creation and we'll choose transfer. And now we're going to choose the location we want to go to. We want it to go to the Abandoned Grassland Temple, and we're going to start the player right there on the map, and we'll say retain direction. So the player is facing upward, the player will remain facing upward, or northward as it were. Okay, so we'll press OK. So now, no matter which direction the player enters, the player is going to go to that certain location on the map here, which is towards this south side. Let's fix that. Let's make it so that if the player steps on this tile, the player will go to a different location depending on direction. So we're going to right click now and choose to edit the transfer quick event that we just made. So now we'll see all of the different options that are available within the event editor. And so there are a lot of options here. We'll go into more detail on these in another video. There are the conditions. There's an image. We don't need an image. We don't need this transfer player event to be moving, so autonomous movement is not needed. Likewise, these options here in the corner are not very important. Below characters means that when we step on it, that's when it's activated, so that's good for the priority. Same thing with trigger player touch. So the player touches the event, that's when it's triggered. But all we're going to look at here is this content section. This is what we're going to change. We see right now it shows a move sound effect, and then it transfers the player to that location. In order to make a conditional branch, we are going to right click in here and we're going to choose new. and then we are going to look for Conditional Branch, which is on Event Commands tab 1. Under Flow Control, you'll see Conditional Branch. So it will create selections that run only when specific conditions are met. We're going to choose that. And now there are a lot of different conditions we could choose from for what should happen. It could be based off of switches that we'll talk more about another time, variables, self switches. There could be a timer that you could have running that affects whether something is open or closed as far as a transfer. But and here's if you want an actor only be able to transfer to a certain place if there's a certain actor in the party, or if there's a certain actor that's carrying a certain item, something like that. If you're in a battle, if there's a certain enemy that's appeared. We are going to use this one where it's the character, in this case the player, is facing a certain direction. So that's the conditional branch that we want to use. You could also have if the player's in a certain type of vehicle, then a certain transfer happens. If the player has a certain amount of gold, items, weapons, various things, even a script. So if you have something that is not available in the other conditional branch options, it's possible to write a script to do it. So for the conditional branch, let's choose character. We want to say that the player that the character is controlling is facing a certain direction, down, left, right, or up. So let's just keep it as down, and we are going to, and we can press OK, but before we press OK, I'm going to actually create an else branch. So this makes a branch. So if the player is facing down, something will happen. If the player is not facing down, something different will happen, right? And so that's what the else branch will be. So if the player is facing down, then we want this, otherwise something else. Now, inside of here, we're going to select this by holding Shift, using the arrow keys, Control X to cut it, and then we're going to paste it in here. So if the player is facing down, we want a certain transfer to happen. We're going to modify this transfer in a little bit. Okay, then otherwise, if the player is facing a different direction, we want something else to happen. So we'll right-click inside the else, and we'll choose New. We'll choose Conditional Branch. We'll go here to Character is Facing. Instead of down, let's choose Left. Create an else branch. We'll press OK. Now we're going to copy this. We're going to select it with the left click, and we're going to use Control C to copy, and we're going to paste here. And this, instead of left, we're going to right click on here, choose Edit, and that'll allow us to edit this conditional branch, and we're going to change it from left to right. Okay, and then we're going to take this one, Control C to copy, go inside of its else branch, and press Control V to paste. And now we're going to right click here, and we're going to edit, and we're going to choose up. Okay, and now this one won't need a conditional else branch because this is the last of the transfers. There are only 4 directions we're dealing with, so we're going to press OK. And so now we can see here that we have different transfers that we want depending on the direction the player is facing. The sound effect is actually going to be the same for all of the transfers, so I'm going to click on the sound effect, Control X to cut, paste up here above in the contents by selecting an event and then doing Control V. So now it's up there. Now I'm going to click on the transfer. I'm going to do Control C to copy, and I'm going to copy this transfer to each of these different directions. And so now we have a transfer. Each of these transfers is exactly the same, but which of these runs depends on is the player facing down, left, right, or up. So now we get to actually make it go where we want to go. If the player's facing down, we're going to right click on the transfer player, choose Edit, and we're going to directly choose where we want it to go. The variables we'll talk about another time. The direction can be retained because the player is facing down, so the player will be facing down in here. So we can just leave it the same as retained. You can also choose how the screen fades, black, white, or no fade. We'll just leave it the default black. All we have to change here is where it goes. So we're going to change so that when the player is facing down, instead of going here, the player will arrive from the top of the map. So let's make the top of the map entryway right about there, okay? So we'll make that the top of the map entryway, and we'll press OK. And then if the player is facing left or westward, then the player is facing left, needs to come from this side. So we'll have the player start right over here. Okay, if the player is facing right, we'll right click, we'll choose edit, and we'll choose to have the player enter from one of the sides over here. We could choose right here or right here. I'm just going to choose this one, have the player appear right there on the map. And then we're going to go to if player is facing up, and we'll right click on this. Now this one, we'll see this is where we want the player to appear if facing upward, if facing northward when entering the map. Okay, so we'll just do that. So that completes our conditional transfer based off of player direction. So now we could press OK and we could finish this. I just want to point out that the if and else, I am using the if and else on purpose because there's the possibility that if you did a transfer and you didn't retain direction, that it could make multiple of these transfers happen in a row. So by doing if else and keeping them completely separate with if else statements, that allows us to not run into the problem we would have if we did not nest them within if else. Anyway, I'll just press OK. And now we got our conditional transfer there. Just so that we have a way out, let's go into the Abandoned Grassland Temple map. Let's zoom out a little bit, and let's create some transfers to get out. We'll right-click here, we'll choose Quick Event Creation, we'll choose Transfer, and we're going to go out of the map to the main map. And now, I could put it right on top, but that's not the design choice I'm making here. Instead, I want you to appear on one side or the other. That way you can't just go in and out and then get to where the other side without actually traversing the map. So in this case, I'm going to have it take you out to this side of the map, and I'm going to press OK. And so now our transfer will take you out to that side of the map. To make sure that the player could get out other places, like say right here, and go southward, we're going to select it. We're going to do Control C, and we are going to paste with Control V wherever we want it to be able to exit the map. So we'll just paste it all the way around on these different sides, just in case at some point we make a way to get out that side. Okay, so we could even paste it on these areas where these trees are, where we can't get to that area as a player, but if you were to change the map, maybe you might open it up in the future. So it's okay to paste it there as well. All right, and so then we can make another quick event over on this side. We'll choose Quick Event Creation Transfer, and we'll make it go to this map as well, but towards the right or eastern side. And we'll press OK, and then we'll do Control C, Control V to paste it at all the different places along the side here. And we'll just go all the way down. And then we'll add in right here, we are going to need to alter the map, because if you come in from the north, there's no way to get into the map. So let's alter the map a little bit. So I'll go to right here, and I am going to just add in a little area of this map where there's a way to get into that part of the map. Okay, so I'm satisfied with it basically the way it is here. So I will but I'll make it just a little bit bigger. All right, very good. Very good. So we can just leave it like that for now. But now let's make transfers on top. We'll choose Quick Event Creation, Transfer, Location, the north side or the back side of this. And we'll press OK. Control C, Control V to paste, and arrow keys to just move the selection box around. And now we have a way out on all the sides there. And now we can choose this side, right-click, Quick Event Creation Transfer, and then we'll choose it to go onto the west side of the map. And so now Control C, Control V, and use the arrow keys to move around along the map with the selection box. And now we have pasted events all the way around. So now it's possible anywhere the player can access, they can then leave the map on the correct side. So let's test it out. We'll enter playtesting mode, and we'll do F4 to enter full screen. And now let's choose New Game. And now we can walk around here and make sure that we can get in. So if we go from the south side, it takes us in right here. We still have overworld music, which I want to change. If we go out the south side, then we get this other we come out on the south side, which is correct. If we go in on the east side, we enter in over here. And if we go out anywhere on the east side, then we'll come out right there. So now let's go in and let's find the exit on the north. Let's go out that way. It takes us out the north. And same if we go anywhere else. If we go out the west side, then it takes us out the west. And so then we can access our boat. All right. And so there you have it. That's basically it. That's how you can make it so that you can have directional transfers into and out of different maps accessible from your overworld map. And importantly, this was an introduction to how to use conditional branching, including in this event here, the way we showed conditional branching. You can have a transfer that depends on a condition this way, which can be really cool. There are various other ways that you could have conditional transfers in your game. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed learning with Tyruswoo Studio. If you did, please do join as a member at Tyruswoo.com to help support us to make more tutorials, more courses, and more plugins. Do check out our free plugins that are available at Tyruswoo.com. And just before you go, stick around to the end, and we'll talk about another scripture that has to do with goodness, which is very important to know about goodness in order to make your game highlight good over evil. So thank you for learning with Tyruswoo Studio. Have a good day.